Hello, I'm Stephanie Everett, and I teach high school physics in Juniata County, Pennsylvania. I am joined today by my husband and physics teaching colleague, Jonathan. Jonathan teaches physics at Greenwood High School. Our presentation today is on how to use performance assessments to create personalized learning experiences for each and every student. In 2016, both of our school districts started a one-to-one initiative with iPads and Chromebooks. After 1 year of having technology readily available to the students, we started to brainstorm ways to improve our instructional practices to utilize the tools that we had been given. One outcome of this brainstorming was flipping the classroom instructional format to bring most problem-solving opportunities into the classroom and to allow most direct instruction to occur outside of class. After 4 years of using flipped instruction, I highly recommend this change for everyone. The other major change that we made was replacing selected response unit tests with performance assessments, which is what we're going to focus on today. We decided to move towards performance assessments for several reasons. First, we did not like using a week of class time to review and administer a test when we could be engaging the students in higher level application activities instead. Second, we teach in small rural schools where there is only one level of physics class offered. This means that our class must simultaneously meet the needs of the future physicists, engineers, medical professionals, scientific researchers, mathematicians, and occasionally a student with interest in English or history. Designing one test that met the academic needs of all these students was impossible. Furthermore, a test that challenged our top students often created feelings of inadequacy in students who were not quite as advanced in their learning journey. Performance assessments offered the benefits of student choice in both the topic of study and presentation format. Additionally, as students work on preparing presentations, they develop career skills such as how to use spreadsheets, design experiments, create presentations, apply mathematical reasoning, and revise their work. With performance assessments, students are rewarded for their hard work and persistence since they can continue to improve their projects until they are proud of the outcome. The best part for me as a teacher has been seeing students excited to share their work and occasionally the creation of a special passion project by a student. Although I cannot say that grading the projects is quick and easy, I can say that I always look forward to seeing what the students have created. As teachers, we must try to meet the needs of every student assigned to our class. Performance assessments are a vital tool for this goal. In 2010, Stanford University released a series of reports about the benefits of performance assessments in education. It turns out that most nations that score high on international assessments utilize performance assessments for standardized testing. Since teachers are often encouraged to teach to the test, this results in teachers utilizing performance assessments in their routine instruction. These performance assessments allow teachers to integrate content with high-level thinking and application. This results in much greater student achievement. Performance assessments are often accompanied by well-designed rubrics, which are also key to improving student learning. The rubrics help teachers to provide targeted feedback and enable students to revise their work. This process of feedback and revision has been shown to be one of the most effective interventions for students who are struggling with their learning. Furthermore, performance assessments help to equalize the playing field for English language learners. Trying to understand the subtleties of selected response questions puts ELL students at a great disadvantage when taking standard tests. However, performance assessments enable ELL students to demonstrate their learning using diagrams, charts, and mathematical representations that often help to eliminate the language barriers. As Jonathan and I attempted to design our performance assessments, we were inspired by the redesigned website. This website includes samples of many different types of performance assessments. It breaks down large performance tasks into smaller steps for implementation, and it provides sample rubrics. It is a great tool when developing your own performance assessments.
Next, I would like to introduce differentiated learning, a change in mindset. At the basic level, differentiated learning is a student choice assignment. However, we've rebranded it to differentiated learning so that it can make an interesting juxtaposition with differentiated instruction. Differentiated instruction is a methodology of tailoring instruction to the individual needs of students, which we believe to be a very difficult task for the majority of teachers. However, differentiated learning is a methodology of providing students with multiple options to provide evidence of their learning. From this point of view, we believe it's this to be an effective practice for the majority of educators. Which brings us to quests, a differentiated learning method of assessment. A quest, when you put a quest in front of a student as opposed to a multiple choice test, what you're now giving the students is an option to choose their path. It allows for the students to go on their own learning quest, if you will, and allows each student to express their learning in the preferred modality. We use quests as a unit assessment of student learning on about a once a quarter basis. We usually provide at least 2 weekends, so that makes like 8 to 10 days for the student to complete the quest. The teacher will provide the assessment rubric specific to the chosen quest to each student, and the teacher will also provide in-class mentorship to the students while they're constructing their quests. And then the students will compile the majority of their quests at home, but they'll come into class to ask questions and to get feedback so that they can make revisions. And here I'd like to roll out the quests that we have developed. We have the Newton's Mathematical Quest, the Curie's Laboratory Experiment, the Frankel's Photojournal, Musk's Infographic, Goodall's Informative Essay, Hawking's Multimedia Presentation, Johnson's Mathematical Modeling, which this one's under construction that we hope to have rolled out by the end of the summer, and Kaku's Other Project. One of the neat elements with laying it out this way is when the student decides on which quest that they wish to pursue for the unit assessment, they see the link between the image of the famous scientist and the name of the quest. And there's times in class and stuff where they're like, well, who the heck is Curie or who the heck is Frankel? And it gives them an opportunity to look that up and to learn a little something about that active scientist.
All right, moving to the next slide. We would like to share with you a few samples of student work. Please be aware that these examples are not necessarily error-free. We are looking at a sample infographic created by a student. This particular student wanted to go into graphic design, so she was very excited to do this project. What you see on the screen is only one small part of her final project for this unit. She had many, many different sections that resembled this. What I like about infographics is that students must use images to convey their understanding. Our minds often process images more deeply than words, so when students find images, they gain a greater understanding of the content. Students are also encouraged to create their infographic around a theme of interest, such as perhaps baseball or driving. And this always allows us to advertise physics by hanging their projects in the hall and letting other students see what they have created and how physics relates to the world around them. Although this particular infographic was computer generated, often the students create hand-drawn infographics, which allow them to utilize their artistic talents in addition to their scientific knowledge. One of my favorite quests to grade is the Photojournal. Students must take photos of things that occur around them and explain how physics is related to the photo. In addition to the conceptual description, the students are asked to generate a sample mathematical problem related to the photo. Numbers used in the problem are to be reasonable based on the photo, so the students learn how to estimate values if they can't measure them, and the students include the solution to the problem. This project really helps students to think about how the topics learned in class can be related to the world around them. Here we see a sample lab report. As expected, the students need to identify their question and hypothesis and procedures and conclusion. But what we really focus on as we do labs is the use of spreadsheet. So we ask the students to use a spreadsheet for organizing their data and performing the calculations as they go through their analysis. Furthermore, students must demonstrate how to clearly convey their results using graphs. This project is great for helping students develop 21st century career skills in data analysis.
Next, I'd like to introduce the essay quest. We've had a variety of awesome essays come through over the years. Some of the ones with more interesting titles are An Introduction to Superfluids, Newton's Laws, Friction, and Applications. We had one on energy in the world today, another one on spring through time. The next one is the development of light and shadow as forms of electricity. And one of the things I thought was really neat in this particular essay, the student was looking at basically the photoelectric effect and how current photocells utilize the visible spectrum in order to utilize the photoelectric effect to generate electricity. But they also conjectured that, the infrared and the ultraviolet spectrums are passing through the solar panel, and they also contain photons with energy, and therefore from shadowed areas, you should still be able to produce the photoelectric effect if your solar cells tuned into those areas of the spectrum. And then the last one, the motion of bodies, unlocking how to survive physics. This was an interesting essay in that it looked at it was from the perspective of a field hockey player that was playing for the state title in field hockey from our school. And she was concerned with the injuries at competing at such a high level that some of the field hockey girls were experiencing. And she just saw all the connections from the physics of dynamics, basically, and how they could utilize that understanding to perform perhaps a little bit better, but also to see some of the activities that was causing them to get injured. The next quest we're going to take a look at is the Newton's problem-solving quest. In this quest, this is the only one out of the 8 that we have that is teacher-created. And each time we roll out a quest throughout the year, we will make this style of quest a little bit different than the other ones. So 2 examples I have up here is on the quest at the end of the kinematics unit is a go do it quest. And the students will choose 6 or so activities from a menu of activities to go do mini experiments at home. And then they'll often be asked to collect real authentic data from those mini experiments, and then to either solve problems or to generate a graph or to make a diagram to show their evidence of learning from those mini experiments. So what you can see in this particular example, a student set up a racing lane where they walked some of it, they ran some of it, and then they created the velocity versus time graph for those actions. And then in the second example we have over on the right-hand side is the dynamic at the end of the dynamics section on the accident reconstruction. In this particular Newtonian quest, we asked the students to role play being the physics expert that has been called in by a judge to provide some empirical evidence for an accident that occurred, utilizing their knowledge of physics. And what they start with at the beginning of this quest is just what data that the police provided them after the collision had occurred. So they have to work all the equations and all the physics backwards to take it all the way back to the initial conditions before the collision to see which of the 2 drivers involved in the collision is telling the truth. What you can see is some of the sample calculations from that quest. In this particular part of the calculations, the student was calculating the tractor trailer's velocity and acceleration at the moment after the collision. And you can see that to do that, they had to go through a force analysis, friction analysis, relate that back to work and energy, and then ultimately relate that back to the kinematics. And now you might be wondering, with all of this variety in quests, how in the world can you grade quests accurately, equitably, and fairly? And the way we've done that is through rubrics. We have based each rubric on 6 categories, each worth 10 points for a total value of a 60-point assignment. Each rubric features performance columns that are the same for all 8 quests. So we're going to measure them based off of distinguished, proficient, striving, novice, and no evidence. Now, the other side, the other rows, so to speak, would be for performance standards that are different for each and every quest. So the example I have here is for the Goodall's informative essay is evaluated for depth of content, title and introduction, topic development, word count, language mechanics, and credit to sources. in conclusion, after doing quests for like the last 5 or so years, we have learned a lot of insights. The first one I want to bring up is it affords teachers the opportunity to provide individualized mentorship. And I don't want to shortchange that bullet. What happens over that 8-day period or so is students come in and they share what's working well and what's not working well. And we work with them, we mentor them, we help them generate ideas, and they go back and they revise and they go through that revision process throughout the whole quest experience. Students can individualize both the topic of study and the format of the presentation. Students have a sustained investment in the learning with revision opportunities. Another one that I like a lot is that students use the natural technology and laboratory equipment that is necessary to solve whatever it is they're trying to solve or achieve whatever it is they're trying to achieve. This is very much career relevant as they utilize the tools that are necessary in the moment. We also have students that are at times really proud of their work, and sometimes they create passion projects. One that comes to mind is I had a student 2 years ago that wanted to go into the Naval Academy, and because he loves sailing and boats and all that kind of stuff. So he developed a lab project where he wanted to look at the rotational effects of the spinning prop in a remote control boat to make a prediction on the amount of time it would take the boat to travel a certain distance. Well, he went through a whole variety of revisions in this project, where he started off in the Juniata River first and realized he couldn't get a good relationship. And then he moved down to a local creek and he still couldn't get a good relationship. So eventually he had to go to the bathtub and drive the boat across the bathtub to be able to get a correlation. And I remember him telling me after, throughout this project, he's like, Mr. Everett, I can't believe how difficult it is to measure some things in physics when it's in a real world situation. And I thought to myself, that is like one of the best things that this student could have learned in that particular situation that you would never normally learn in a typical lab situation. And then lastly, all students can pursue success in physics utilizing their individual talents. Copies of our resources are located at the URL at the bottom of this page. And in the words of Jonathan Palmer, who is the developer of the Flipping Physics website, thank you for learning with us. We have certainly enjoyed learning with you.